Tell us what you came up with. All right, yes. Let me just say this. Having the kids get together as a group initially.
Right, as a whole, and talk about how the actions of the few affected the whole, and then to have more of a peer mediation group of having the kids peer mediate about what was going to happen.
So have the kids talk about what they did as a whole, and then a peer mediation group for what should happen to who? To the ones that stole the lens, try to steal the lens. Okay, thank you. Someone else. Let's get a few more. Yes. The planetarium should be brought back somehow. The experience. Into
the classroom and do something with
Maybe they could come to the classroom and do something. Okay, anyone else? How about someone from this side of the room? Yes.
Well, based on what you said about practice and trying to think that way, if there's some way they could practice what is proper behavior, maybe not at the planetarium.
Practice what they could have done. In a well-lit area. Anyone else want to share?
We said that they needed to work together as a group and show that what these children who did was a reaction to, or part of the whole group. They were completely affected by what the others did, and they, as a group.
So they really needed to get together as a group and share that everyone was affected by what other people did. And what does that mean?
Come up with a solution of how they were going to make it better. You might have an idea in your mind of
And come up,
lead them down that path. They need to come up
they had to come up with, you might have an idea of what might make it better, but it's really they had to come up with the ideas themselves as part of the growth process. These are all really good ideas. Let me tell you what I did. I decided to take them back to the planetarium. Did anyone talk about whether you would do that or not? So I have to take them back to the planetarium. I said to myself, every time that I do something wrong in sports or in anything, the only way I've ever gotten better is to go back and do it again. And I said to myself, why is it good kids always get second chances, but my kids never get any chances? So I decided to take them back. I called the planetarium, and I said, hi, do you remember me? And they said, yes, we remember you. I said, I have a great idea. I'm taking my kids back to the planetarium. And they said, they're not welcome here. And I just saw red. I mean, it's always doors shut on the kids that need to have them open the most. And I could understand their concern, but I just, as their teacher, I couldn't take it. Do you know, when you teach emotionally disturbed children, difficult children, you can make fun of them, and you can complain about them, but no one else can. It's like your sister. You can teach your sister, but no one else can. So I said, you don't understand. And they said, you don't understand. We'll get a restraining order. So I went and saw the director of the program. And I told him that I would sign papers right there before I left saying I'd take full financial responsibility and I'd pay for any damages if I could take them back. He said, you will? I said, of course I will. Get the papers. So they typed up papers and I signed them. What he didn't realize was I was a teacher. I didn't have any money. Teachers don't have money. It doesn't matter what I sign. I'm not paying for a lens. So then I went to my principal and I said, I have really good news. He said, what? I said, I'm taking my kids back to the planetarium. He said, I forbid it. You can't do it. Now, what I said next is not an endorsement of how you treat administrators. I have discovered that all administrators, everyone I've ever worked with, will do what they can to help children and help you if it's presented in a way where you cooperate. A lot of teachers say the administration won't let me. That's just a lot of bull. 90% of the time, maybe even higher, administration wants change even more than you do. So what I'm about to tell you is not an endorsement. It's just what happened. I said what I said because I was young, I was arrogant, and I was stupid. I said, I didn't really come here to ask you. I came to inform you. I don't see how you can stop me. And he looked at me, he said, what? I said, let me tell you something about my life. I don't have one. I have what's called phantom illness. I go home every day and go to the doctor. I have my back checked out, my stomach checked out, my head checked out, my spine checked out, my neck checked out. I've been checked for colitis, ulcers, diseases I haven't even heard of, from just a whole range of things, and there's nothing wrong with me except stress from dealing with these kids. Has anyone in this room ever had phantom illness because of stress? If you teach most of your kids, the doctor gets very intimate with you. They really get to know you. I said, my wife wants to start a family. How can I start a family? Do you think all I can think about is Bob Jolly and all these other kids that are driving me crazy? It doesn't lead to romance. I come to school the next day and every kid is there. My kids are never absent. Have you noticed that the worst kids are never absent? Every time I get sick, I would breathe on them, hoping they'd get sick, and it never did any good. I'm telling my principal this. I said, I'm willing to do this. I am willing to do it. I love doing it, but you can't tie my hands for what I think is right. I can't do it. Either let me go or fire me, because I can't teach if I can't do what's right. Well, I had tenure, so it was like, bragging over nothing, because he couldn't fire me anyway. At least not for 2 years. So he said, I'll make a deal. Write a letter of resignation, leave it on my desk. And if there's no problem, I'll rip it up. But if we have an issue, you can't come back anymore. Are you willing to do that? And I said, yes. This is stupid. Never do this. This was absolutely insane. But I was at a point where I didn't care anymore. Every single teacher sometimes reaches a point where you have to decide what matters to you. Is it the curriculum? Is it the money? Is it the kids? Is it something? Because once in all our lives, at least, I find we face a point where we have to decide why we're there. And that was my point. So here's what I did. I went to the hardware store and I bought roofing paper and I blackened my room. And I took one piece of roofing paper and I punched stars in it, and I got an industrial-sized flashlight and put it in the middle of the floor. I got Pink Floyd and played it. I had to buy all these things myself. I'm going to ask a question now, and I want you to raise your hand. Don't put it down until everyone has a chance to see how many hands are up. How many of you have ever bought something for students with your own money? Look around the room. Leave them up. Look around the room. I see every hand up. Thank you. Name one other profession on earth that pays their clients. There isn't any. There are many generous people who give people money, but 90% of the time it's government money or grant money or someone else's money. How many people give their own money on a regular basis to kids? The next time someone says to you, anybody can be a teacher, say to them, yeah, if they're willing to spend money on kids. We're the only ones. We should have to be so proud of who we are because we give things that no one else on earth gives. We practiced planetarian behavior. We practiced it from the beginning. Like how you walk in. I discovered that every kid in my classroom knew they weren't supposed to fight. But if you bump somebody, you fight. There's a rule in middle school, you bump, you fight. So I didn't teach them how not to fight, I taught them how to walk. We practiced sitting down in chairs and sharing an armrest. Because these kids never learned how you share an armrest. There's two arms, one rest. Most kids learn it in the movies. But what about kids that never get to go to the movies because the parents don't take them? Then they never learn it. We expect them to sit there and be good, but do we teach them how? We practice what you do if someone whispers in your ear and says, let's steal the lens. We even practice what you do if someone passes gas and it's loud. Because most kids don't know unless their parents teach them. How many have kids that do that on purpose for a laugh? I'm willing to bet you their fathers do it at home at dinner. That's learned behavior. How can we expect kids to behave properly if we don't teach them? Well, we practiced for over 2 weeks how you behave in a planetarium, and I took them. back, and they behave perfectly. And the man said to me, these aren't the same kids. And I said, of course they're not. That's the whole point. How can children change without opportunity? If you want kids to be hopeful and kids to be involved, they have to be given the opportunities that will allow them to be successful in social and academic situations. When they're removed as punishment, they just give up.